Hi everybody, Brent Jones, NuHomeSource Realty. How are you? Let's do a Facebook Live real quick. Last week I did 3 of the most common buyer questions. I want to do 3 of the most common seller questions. There's a lot of questions, but let's just hit 3 of the main seller questions that a lot of sellers have. And we'll do that real quickly. Before we get started, click notifications, follow me, like this video, and leave a comment. Okay, 3 big, of course, you know I would be getting a phone call as soon as I'm doing this. Okay, 3 of the big seller questions / concerns that sellers would have, and I'm going to be reading these questions, so bear with me. Question that I was asked is, should you buy first or sell first? So you have a house to sell. In this crazy market, you need to know where you're going. If you sold your house, you're going to do what then? Become homeless? It's kind of like the car market is just about as insane as the housing market. So if you sold your pre-existing car, you're going to do what? Go take the bus? So you need to have a strategy in mind. There's nothing wrong with looking at houses first to determine where you would go looking, and maybe even turn in some offers. We'll talk about contingency here in just a second. So I would probably recommend that let's go looking first before we put your house on the market, because in this market, I feel like I can get a contract on your house fairly quickly. That's not the question. The question is, if we were to do that, where are you going to move? So let's kind of put the cart before the horse. Let's go look at where you would move to first and kind of get some of those questions answered. Next question, how does it work in buying a house when you have one that you'll need to sell simultaneously? Well, let's talk about contingency. So you want to buy this house, but you need to sell your existing house. So that's called a contingency. If you were to go look at a house and turn in an offer on that house, me as your realtor or whoever your realtor is would need to disclose. There's a contingency form you would need to disclose to the sellers of that house that you have a contingency. Yes, you want to buy their house, but that's contingent upon you selling your house. You can do it all in one day. I've been doing this for 32 years. Many times you close on your house in the morning and you close on the house you're going to buy in the afternoon. It's all done in one fell swoop. So you would close on the house you're selling, get the proceeds from that house, have that wired in to the title company, and now you're ready to close on the house that you're going to buy. If you were to do all that under the same roof, the same title company, makes it a lot easier. You can't always do that, but if the same title company were handling both transactions in-house, makes it a lot simpler. Another really quick point on contingencies. Sellers aren't going to be really excited that you have to sell your house before you can buy theirs. However, contingencies don't have the negative connotations that they used to have in years past, because the market is so brisk. When you say, yes, I'm going to buy your house, but that's contingent upon me selling mine, they know that you should get a contract on your house fairly quickly. So they shouldn't have whole lot of concerns about yes or no, are you going to be able to sell your house. They ought to be fairly confident that in this market, that you'll be able to sell the house that you have to sell. Obviously, as long as it's not overpriced, it's not in poor condition, it's not in a bad location, but as long as it's priced well in a decent area and in good condition, they'll know that you'll be able to sell your house fairly quickly. Next question, how can I find a house that I'd be interested in moving to? There's nothing available online. The MLS, looking online, our website, NuHomeSource.com, and that's NuHome, HOME, source.com. It's one of the best websites that there are. I frown on Zillow, I frown on Realtor.com. I can't tell you how many times clients have called me up, Brent, we found our house, can we go see it? It's perfect, and I'll pull it up, and it's had a contract on it for 3 weeks because they went to Zillow. Not a big fan. So if you want a for real, wonderful real estate database to tap into, NuHomeSource.com, and new is spelt NU. So NuHomeSource.com. It's updated every other hour, so 12 times a day, every day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So that would be number one. So if you're going to look online, here's the other thing. I've got my Perfect Home Finder program where I can find you pre-listed houses. So if you tell me, give me the specifics, you tell me you want to be in this area, the house would be this, it's going to have this many bedrooms, it's going to have a pool, it's not going to have a pool, it's going to have a big yard, it's not going to have a big yard. It's going to be in this school district, it's going to be a 1-story, it's going to be a 2-story, it's going to have this many bedrooms, it's going to have this much square feet, it's going to have been built approximately in this time. Anyway, you tell me what's important to you. Obviously price. You got to factor in price. But you tell me where you want to be and let me work my magic. Let me contact homeowners in that area and I will tell them, I've got a buyer. Would you entertain the idea of selling your house? I will go meet with those sellers. I'll be sure that their house does in fact check off all the boxes or most of the boxes that are important to y'all. And then once we've established that, then I will, obviously with the seller's permission or homeowner's permission, then I will involve y'all to come take a look at it. But I'll do all the groundwork. I'll handle everything. I'll find the house. I'll talk to the homeowner. I'll be sure that the house checks most of your boxes, but it's called my Perfect Home Finder program. So these are off-market, pre-listed houses. Now again, these are not houses that are on the market or pocket listings. That's not what this is, and we're only going to make them available to a select few people. That's not what this is. These houses are not on the market. These are pre-listed houses. It's you telling me where you want to be, your wish list. Let me go work my magic and let me see if I can find some homeowners that have a property that would match what's on your wish list. So that would be that. So go to NuHomeSource if you want to look online. Contact me about my Perfect Home Finder if you want some offline homes. What's the last one here? Should we have an inspection done on our house before we sell it? So again, these are all from the seller's point of view. The seller is saying, should I have my home inspected before I put it on the market? Not a bad idea. You think you know your house and you think you know any potential issues, but you never really know until you have a professional home inspector come out. Brian Fox with Level Up Home Inspections is one good one. I'm not endorsing him exclusively, but I've had many clients use him and he's absolutely fantastic. But there's nothing wrong with you having your property inspected, so you'll know ahead of time if there's any issues. You may want to go ahead and address some issues. If you do have it inspected, you do have to make that report available to the buyers, because on the seller's disclosure, which you're required to fill out, there's a section about, have you had any inspections done? Any inspections? Have you had any inspections done in the last 4 years? And if you check yes, then we're going to need to make that inspection report available to the buyers, which is not a bad thing. In this crazy market that we're in, some buyers are waiving their right to have the property inspected. They're doing that because they're not even asking for an option period. When you go under contract, built into the contract would be an option period, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, which will give the buyer time to have an inspector come out and inspect it. To be as competitive as possible, some buyers are not even doing that, which is kind of scary. So you as a seller, if that buyer opted out of their right to have the house inspected, could you possibly be incurring some liability? I'm not an attorney, I just play one on TV, but with the seller's disclosure, if you didn't properly disclose everything that you know about the house, and you do know that there's an issue, and they're not having the property inspected, you would hate to get one of those dreaded phone calls in 6 months about, hey, why didn't you mention to anybody about the hot water heater about to rust out, or the HVAC's on its last leg, or whatever. It never hurts for you to know up front to have the property inspected, to have an inspection report you can supply to the buyer. Nothing wrong with being upfront and truthful and full disclosure. Full disclosure. Everything about real estate is full disclosure. So, in answer to this question, should you have an inspection done? Sure, why not? A little bit rare. Typically, the way it works is you go under contract and the buyer goes and has the property inspected. But again, since buyers are waiving that, wouldn't be anything wrong with you having one that you could provide to them that would kind of ease their concerns. So, anything else? Contingency, perfect home finder, should you have a property inspected? Hope this helps. These are some of the main questions. Sellers have lots of questions. If you're thinking about selling your house, contact me, Brent Jones, NuHomeSource Realty, 214-649-4528. You know, step number one would be, I'll be happy to do a market study for you and tell you what I think your house would bring on the open market. You don't want to go to Zillow and get a Zestimate, because that's garbage in, garbage out. That's an Autobot algorithm out of New York, and they can't find Texas on a map with both hands. So, you know, garbage in, garbage out. I've been doing this for 32 years. I'll be happy to personally do a market study for you. I'm not an appraiser. This is not going to be an appraisal, but this is going to be my opinion of, if we put your house on the market, what do I think it would bring? How quickly do I think it would sell, etc. So if I can help with that or anything else, or you have any other questions, reach out to me. Again, Brent Jones, NuHomeSource Realty, 214-649-4528. Have a good one. Bye-bye.